Let's dig into Zoom if you're going to host a meeting. You should set up an account, whether it's a free account or a paid account. With the free account at this time, you can have 2 users with no time limit. You can have 3 people in a meeting, 3 or more people in a meeting, up to 40 minutes at a time. If you need more than that, you'll want to upgrade to a paid account. And there's various levels depending on the size of your company, the number of hosts that you'll need. But you'll want to set up an account any way you slice it if you're going to host a meeting. Once you do that, you should come into your profile and add a picture. Your picture will display if your video is not available or if you're on mobile and not able to use video. So it's a great best practice to go ahead and add a professional picture. You'll want to come through here and do a couple of settings. I've linked a few accounts, my Google account, as well as down here you can see the integration with the Google Calendar, which is a really great integration, and I highly recommend it if you're using Google Calendar. It'll allow you to create meetings in your calendar and add a Zoom link to it automatically. So the settings here on the profile page are pretty straight ahead. I'd make sure you have the correct time zone, obviously language, and that's the essence of the profile section. Meetings are going to list all the meetings that you have, whether they're upcoming or prior. You can also set up templates. Webinars is a paid add-on. So if you need webinars, look at a plan that will add a webinar, and you'll have to have a paid account, and then a webinar is an actual add-on to that paid account. If you need to record, you're going to want to have a quick look at these recording settings. I typically record locally. I find it's better quality, and then I can also easily have that file on my computer for some quick editing, and then I can upload it to whatever appropriate platform. So under settings here, there is a separate recording section. So I'll jump there and then come back to meetings. So for local recording here, there's a number of options. I have it set where hosts can give participants permission to record locally, which I've honestly never used. But if someone wants to record a session on their own and keep it on their computer, I can grant permission for that on each session specifically. I don't use the cloud recording. I do believe I set these settings to what I thought were somewhat of the best practices for that. There's a couple of other options here. They're pretty self-explanatory, but you probably want to have a quick look at these and just make sure they're set the way you want them, because you may be in a meeting and then decide to hit record. So it's best to have these settings set up in advance. So hopping back to your meeting settings, there's a couple of really important settings here that, for my best practices, I like to have my video off when I start a meeting. That way I can manually turn it on. It's just a safe way to be fully prepared for that. It's kind of my own best practice. When I first hop on, it just shows my profile picture, and then I can just click a quick button to show my video when I'm ready. Participants, I do have start with their video, largely because sometimes I'm on with new people and it's just easier for their video to start automatically without them having to click anything. I personally leave the option for telephone and computer, although I generally prefer computer audio. I'm also connected to via Ethernet cable, so I've got a pretty solid connection to be able to use that. So you can allow your attendees to do either or both. Join before host is something I'd set in the admin panel. I prefer this feature. It allows people to hop on a meeting before me. That way, if I am a few minutes late, or if I can't make a meeting that people still need to have, they can hop on without me. So just an important setting to be aware of and have set for the way that you need it. So I have pretty light settings because these aren't super private meetings. I just invite a couple of specific users, so I don't have it where they have to put in a password or anything like that. Certainly you can set these, but again, just go through these settings. They're pretty self-explanatory, but make sure that you've got this set from the get-go. So once again, here's the calendar and contacts integration. Makes it easy to invite people from your contacts. You can allow private chat. You can allow chat or allow private chat, which is basically a direct message between two participants that not everyone on the meeting sees. You can elect if you want to auto-save chats when you complete the meeting. And also, this is an important setting. I like having it make a chime sound when somebody joins a meeting, just so we're aware when someone new has joined or left. But that is a setting I'm a big fan of, and I have it on for host and all attendees. File transfer is also something where you can attach a file in a chat, so a great feature to share something that everybody needs to be able to open or collaborate on. So allowing a co-host, you can just designate that during the meeting. And that way, if you need to either hop off the meeting or grant someone else host permissions, you can add a co-host. Polling is another great feature. So again, these are pretty straight ahead, but I would go through these initially, get them set to how you want them. And then they'll be there every time that you conduct a meeting. So again, not going to go through all these. I do want to hop into the Google Calendar integration super quick. It's a really great feature where I have both integrated this with my calendar, and in my Chrome browser here, I've added the Zoom extension. So if I need to go here and create a meeting, I'm just going to call it fake Zoom meeting. One best practice that I do as well is I put link in invite in the actual name of the meeting, and that way it's a little more clear to everybody who's joining, instead of them hopping on at 9:59 and going, oh my goodness, where's the link? I try to make it really clear that the description of the event itself says link and invite. If you just hit make it a Zoom meeting, it'll complete this event at whatever your default length is. If you need more options to edit the color or the length of the meeting, you can do more options. Click in here, make the meeting a little bit longer. You'll see, because I have the extension and the integration set up, all I have to do is click this button and it generates a link for that Zoom meeting. It also puts some of the additional info down here in the details section, and I can also change the color or put this on a different calendar or whatever is the best practice that I need to add. So if I add my guests here, they are going to now get a calendar invite that's going to contain this Zoom link. It makes it really easy for them to hop on. So that's a really good way to make sure that everyone has the link to the meetings. There are some deeper settings to send reminders to people, but for now, we're just going to stick with that. Let's hop into the actual meeting client. I highly recommend using the downloaded computer app, or if you need to be on a mobile device, downloading the mobile app. It's a much better way to conduct a meeting. So if you've got a preset meeting and your calendar is integrated, you'll see it here. And instead of this saying view, because this is just a calendar, it says not a Zoom meeting, it's just a calendar item. If this was a Zoom meeting, it would be right here because all my accounts are all connected. And I could just click here to start it or click on the link in my calendar. In this example, I'm gonna just do a new meeting, keep it simple. As you can see, my video is off as per my setting, but you can see my profile picture. So at least when I hop on, people see something. If I click here on start video, it'll start my video up. There's carrots here on both of these where you can edit your settings for audio, and here for video. You can also choose your virtual background if that's something that you want to do. If you've started a meeting kind of impromptu and you just need to send out a quick invite to people, if you click invite, it will has a link to generate a URL for that or for an invitation, or you can go here if you need to send an email. It also pulls in people that you have invited to prior meetings. So if you commonly have meetings with people, they may just show up here and you can click this button to add them to the meeting. Also, while in the meeting, you can manage the participants. You can click here to mute them, or depending on, again, your settings, you can make them a co-host. There's other options here that show up when there are other people in the meeting. But you can see all your participants. Some quick global controls here. You can mute everyone in the meeting or unmute everyone in the meeting. And again, there's a couple more options if you click here. So to toggle that, you just click Manage Participants again, and that goes away. Share screen is a great feature. You can share either your entire desktop or certain windows that you have open. There's also a whiteboard if you need to hop in here, and that gives you some really good features if you want to be able to draw here or use some text or anything like that. And you can also save this whiteboard if you need to save what you have written up here. The chat feature is really great. If there were other people in this meeting, and because I have the direct message setting turned on, the default is to everyone, but if there are other people in the meeting and that setting is on, you can click here and it'll give you the option to direct message any specific participant if you have a question or need to answer something that's specific to them, or remind them to mute their microphone or whatever that is. And again, per those settings, you can share a file here if you need to share a file to the group or to someone directly. And again, if you click chat again, it'll toggle away from that setting. This is where you would hit record. So again, your settings are in the back end in your profile, but you click here real quick to record on this computer. Basically, when you complete the meeting, it will process the file. I believe it's an MP4 file, and it'll drop it somewhere in your computer. Most often it creates a Zoom folder. When you set up your account and click through, it'll ask you to give permission to create a Zoom folder in your documents, and it'll add all your meetings to that with the name of the meeting and the date and time of the meeting. And again, if you need to record to the cloud, you would select that option here. Breakout Rooms is a feature that I have enabled where you can essentially place specific participants into a smaller group room where they can all talk. As the host, you can hop between the rooms if you need to, and you can also close out the rooms and bring everybody back to the primary meeting. Reactions are a nice feature where you can just give a quick clap or a thumbs up. It'll show up on your profile picture. Typically, you'll see all the participants up here at the top, and then the main screen here generally is whoever's talking at that time. It can be set to only be the host, or it can also be the screen share if you're sharing that, but you'll still be able to see the participants' video if they have it on. So those are most of the features. You can also stream live to Facebook, live to Workplace by Facebook, or live on YouTube. You'll want to connect your accounts if that's something you want to do in advance of the meeting. So I would just have that prepared if you need to be able to stream. That is the best way to get that set. When you're done, you'll just go to hit End Meeting, and it's going to pull up a couple of options as the host. If you just want to leave the meeting and let people continue, you'll need to designate someone as another host. Just any participant can be labeled as a host, and then you can leave the meeting and they continue. If you hit End Meeting for all, that will wrap up for everyone. So those are the basics of hosting. Certainly there are some deeper settings and additional things and add-ons that you can use here, but that's the essence of hosting a meeting through Zoom. Thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for your support.